There's Mitchell. I think that's a 2. Doesn't go. And now,
Uh-oh.
Bride getting healed.
And that one might be a problem.
Indiana just taking shots to the face.
Okay, this is wild, but the Indiana Fever rolled into Minnesota looking completely running on empty. I mean, 5 key players were already sidelined. Their whole strategy was chaos, and honestly, every single possession felt like they were just trying to survive. We're talking Caitlin Clark still out with that groin injury, Sophie Cunningham done for the season, Chloe Beebe, Sydney Colson, and Ari McDonald all unavailable. It got so bad that Odyssey Sims was playing on practically one leg, just because the roster was that thin. But then the absolute breaking point, Lexie Hull takes a nasty elbow straight to the face from Kayla McBride, drops to the floor clutching her face, and somehow the foul gets called on Hull. The entire arena boiled over. Fans were stunned, and you can bet Caitlin Clark at home was absolutely seething. Seriously, how do the refs keep missing calls this blatant? Fever fans, I gotta ask, are the officials just blind out there?
And Hull is checking her jaw.
See that one again. Kayla McBride goes up, grabs the board, and she wants to get free because Hull has her kind of wrapped, and boy, that's a hard swing. We're going to review it.
Let me break this down for you, because context matters big time. Indiana didn't just limp into Minnesota, they showed up completely stripped down. Caitlin Clark's been out for weeks, Sophie Cunningham's whole year ended early, Chloe BBYZ still sidelined, Sydney Colson's out with an ACL tear, and Ari McDonald shut down with a foot issue. Think about that. That's practically an entire starting unit wiped out before the game even tipped off. And Odyssey Sims, she was a hardship signing, basically the ultimate emergency call, dragged straight from recovery and thrown into the fire because there were 0 other options. This isn't some quirky lineup shuffle, folks. This is full-blown survival mode, and trust me, survival carries a steep price. Every single drive demands extra gas, every defensive switch is half a beat slow, and every tiny misstep suddenly feels colossal when you're fighting for a playoff spot with a roster held together by duct tape and sheer willpower.
The Indiana Fever's injury bug is getting into spooky territory. It seems like there's a new player every single day that's getting injured. Right now they have Caitlin Clark out, not sure if she will be returning this season. Sid Colson out with a season-ending ACL tear. Ari McDonald out with a season-ending fracture in her foot. Sophie Cunningham out with a season-ending MCL tear. And then just today, before the game, they announced that Chloe Bibby would be out with a knee injury, and basically they just said it's soreness and they're just playing it safe.
Injuries don't just erase talent, they completely tear apart the team's entire structure. Literally overnight, the Fever's guard and wing depth just vanished, forcing Lexie Hull and Kelsey Mitchell to transform from their regular roles into these all-around workhorses, running on pure fume. Get this, just 2 nights before, again against Minnesota, Hull logged a career-high 37 minutes and dropped 23 points. And it wasn't because she was some spark off the bench, it was because there was literally no one waiting to sub in. She had to carry that insane load simply because someone had to. And then, boom, she was right back in the fire. This isn't normal basketball, guys. This is basically just buying survival minutes, fighting against pure exhaustion.
Like, did you come into tonight kind of expecting to play darn near the whole game just with the injury situation and the personnel available?
Damn, you played 37 minutes. I mean, you played a lot too, Kels. What did you play? 35. I mean, yeah, we're down people, so gotta suck it up, play a little tired a few minutes, and take in those timeouts as best we can. But yeah, I mean, we're down people, so everyone's got to do a little more.
The emergency fixes tell you everything you need to know about the Fever's situation. Chappelli was signed midweek and immediately thrown into rotation minutes. Odyssey Sims, still nowhere near full strength, was forced to run possessions anyway. Aerial Powers, another late pickup, was shoved into heavy minutes without any time to build chemistry or even find a rhythm with her teammates. That's not plug-and-play basketball. It's a lineup held together with duct tape. You literally can't establish any kind of flow when introductions are happening in the huddle, and teammates are still figuring out each other's instincts. Meanwhile, opponents like the Lynx, they don't need name tag. They spot those gaps instantly and just press every single weakness until it breaks.
We had 3 players in the last I don't know how many days, and 2 of those players are point guards, so not really. But you know, at the same time, our ability to to make plays out of what we have, right? I think a lot of our spacing allows players to do what they do best, creates opportunities for them to be successful, and then it's just making the right reads and finding the right pass, on time, on target. And some of that is with experience with your teammates, and some of that is instinct. And so we are trying to do as much as we can to put players in position to use those instincts.
But here's the kicker. Give credit where it's due. Kelsey Mitchell never ever flinched. She sliced through traps, carved out space, and piled up a massive 26 points with the kind of tough shot making that basically screamed, "If it takes carrying us, I'll do it." Yet, even with that brilliance, the reality of a depleted roster is just brutal. When your lineup's patched together out of sheer necessity, even incredible talent has a ceiling. Head coach Stephanie White called it physical, but honestly, that's putting it politely. This was trench warfare fought with a skeleton crew, and still, Indiana kept swinging, refusing to fold even as the odds stacked heavier with every single possession.
At this rate, the Fever are going to end the season with a completely different team than what they started the season with. And even the players that they're bringing in on hardship or that they're signing midway through the season, they're now going down with injuries. The season from hell would be an understatement on this team right now.
And if that wasn't enough, that's exactly why the officiating fiasco felt like pouring gasoline on an open flame. Here's the sequence. Lexie Hall is locked in, defending with her signature discipline. McBride swings through and her elbow lands squarely across Lexie's face. We're talking head contact. Defender drops. The crowd goes wild. By any normal standard, that's a stoppage, a review, some accountability, right? Instead, the whistle goes against Hall. The one who absorbed at the elbow somehow became the one penalized for it. The Fever bench literally froze in disbelief. Lexie didn't even argue. You could just see her burning, jaw clenched, eyes sharpened, that icy glare that screams, "Enough." It was the kind of moment that doesn't just turn frustration into fury, it ignites it.
Gonna look at it. So foul there on Indiana, on Hole there, but then that is a technical.
That is a technical. Dead ball, contact technical.
It's a little surprising to see so many of these happen in one game because...
And get this, the review did come, but it only partially fixed the mess. The officials adjusted the call just enough to admit something went wrong, yet they stopped short of holding McBride truly accountable. It was a cop-out, an acknowledgement with zero real consequences. Hole clearly took direct contact to the face. She went down hard, needed time to recover, and Indiana still shouldered the penalty. The math just didn't check out. Pain without protection, punishment without justice. That's not some gray area, folk. That's a turning point, plain and simple. The exact moment the floor tilted and the Fever's already uphill climb steepened into something close to impossible.
Every time a game happens in the WNBA, somebody's getting abused, somebody getting beaten, somebody is getting hurt, man. Somebody is getting hurt every game in the WNBA, and they just fail to realize it. Fail to have any protocol on stopping the nonsense, man. My God.
And you know what happened next? Fans absolutely flooded social media because this script felt painfully familiar to everyone. What should be isolated mistakes now look exactly like a pattern, with calls bending the same direction every single time. When a Fever player hits the hardwood, takes a shove, a shoulder, a forearm, somehow the whistle still punishes Indiana. That perception is absolute poison. It creates this sense that this team is just fair game, that opponents can get physical without any real consequence. And with half the roster already in street clothes, letting contact slide isn't just about losing possessions. It risks piling injury on top of injury, a cost the Fever absolutely cannot afford right now.
Boom! Right there. Oh my goodness. Boom! Right in the face, man. Right in the face. Now, like I stated, I get it. You might be mad that Lexie put her hand on your forehead. But fam, there is no reason for you to be throwing elbows to somebody's face like that. Come on, man.
Look, Minnesota leaned hard into physical play, and that's totally fair. Physicality wins in the postseason. No crime there. But that's precisely why officiating exists, right? It's supposed to be the guardrail between tough and reckless. On this particular night though, that guardrail felt completely optional. Fever guards were eating contact with no whistle in sight, while lighter bumps at the other end suddenly drew fouls. Stephanie White, the coach, very carefully suggested the game was called differently, and she didn't have to say anything more. The game film speaks for itself, loud and clear. When the standard shifts depending on jersey color, fans don't debate nuance, they see blatant favoritism. And Kayla McBride's elbow? That became the undeniable symbol of it all.
Kayla McBride, 13 points for Kayla McBride. Hit Lexie Hull with an elbow. Foul on Lexie Hull. Hit Lexie Hull with an elbow, foul on Lexie Hull.
You have to understand, for Lexie Hull, who's already logging career-high minutes under career-high pressure, that elbow was way more than just contact. It felt like a complete dismissal. She's carved out her entire role through precision defense, sharp cuts, and steady shooting, really thriving on those small, gritty details. So to eat an elbow, get tagged with the foul, and then watch replay officials just wave off the obvious, that's the kind of injustice that hardens your resolve. From the bench, her fury was just absolutely written all over her face. Absorb the hits, get told to tough it out, and then the refs just manage the game while you're left to manage the bruises. For Indiana, that patience is totally gone now. This felt deliberate.
This was intentional. Now, if it wasn't intentional, okay, give it a flagrant one. I understand it. She wasn't trying to do it. Cool. But this was intentional. All right? She had malice on the heart with this. Bad intentions. Okay? She was trying to wreck some stuff up there doing this. Hey, let's just keep it a grand, man. Let's just keep it a grand. Kayla McBride was trying to knock Lexie right on her booty cheeks, but she succeeded at, fam. Knocked her clean out. Look at it.
And this is where it gets real. Lexie Hull is officially not holding back anymore. After the game, she went straight for the jugular on the issue. Officiating and league accountability. We put our bodies on the line every single night, she said. And the least the league can do is ensure protection when referees ignore obvious contact. That right there is exactly why the frustration inside Indiana is just boiling over. The Fever aren't begging for favors, guys. They're demanding basic fairness. Blow the whistle on elbows, no matter who throws them. Guard driving lanes the same exact way, regardless of the jersey. Don't penalize effort for one team while completely rewarding aggression for the other. That double standard absolutely breaks trust, and with half the roster already taped together, it risks turning basketball into an absolute demolition derby. If the WNBA wants its product respected, the responsibility starts with safeguarding its players, because without them, let's be honest, there is no game.
Knocked the clean out, man. Oh my goodness. I mean, folded. Look at how her legs are folded right here. Come on, man. Knocking her clean out right here. That was bad intentions, dog. That was bad intentions. I don't care what anybody say, man. That was bad intentions, man. And the refs have to do something about it. You have to make sure that players don't feel comfortable getting out of pocket and doing things like this.
But here's the crazy part. Most teams missing half their rotation would just completely crumble, but Indiana flat out refused to surrender. There was no giving up, just pure grit layered with defiance. Kelsey Mitchell once again carried the torch, pouring in 26 points and answering every single Minnesota surge with buckets of her own. For 3 quarters, she was the absolute heartbeat of the team, driving into traffic, finishing through bumps, and somehow staying upright even when the whistle stayed silent. Without her relentless pace and incredible shot making, Indiana honestly wouldn't have lasted past the first half. Mitchell's edge didn't just keep the Fever within reach, it set a powerful standard. If she was going to fight tooth and nail, then everyone else had to match that energy, no matter the circumstances.
Indiana started this game 9 of 13, but has missed 4 straight until she...
And then a total shocker nobody saw coming. A player barely unpacked after a hardship signing erupted for 16 points off the bench. That wasn't just eating up minutes, folks. It was an absolute lifeline. She was dropped into complete chaos with no chemistry, no rhythm, no time to adjust, and still producing like she'd been part of the core all season. Indiana honestly couldn't have scripted it better. Her impact went way beyond the box score. It was solid proof that even their stopgap players were ready to strap in and fight when the Fever had their backs against the wall.
Reaction looked like it was a lot more violent than that. It still gotta hurt though. The pass from Williams. Oh, Collier is blocked.
On top of all that, Aaliyah Boston once again held her ground as Indiana's absolute anchor. Night after night, she absorbs double teams, shoves, and body blows, yet she never gives up control of the paint. Against Minnesota, her rebounding was relentless, constantly creating second chance looks for an offense patched together by pure necessity. Even without huge scoring numbers, her steady presence was the perfect counterweight to all the chaos, a constant reminder that no matter how thin the rotation, the Fever still have one of the league's toughest bigs holding the line. And then, of course, there was Lexie Hull. Fans were still buzzing about her blistering 23-point breakout 2 nights earlier, where she literally gutted out 37 minutes simply because no one else could. That performance announced she was ready to shoulder whatever this injury-riddled roster demanded. But against the Lynx, after taking Kayla McBride's elbow square to the face and then somehow being called for the foul, Hull's frustration finally just spilled over. It wasn't just about one whistle guide, it was about weeks of being stretched past the limit, playing through exhaustion, and then being punished for competing with fire. That anger pulsed straight through the Fever fan base. If the players are already being driven into the ground, how could officials tilt the floor against them too?
Dribble. Carrington got a piece of it. Powers gets it back. Second attempt, up and in. And she's fouled. The basket, and then she's just fighting and battling for her shot.
Add in Ariel Powers, another late season pickup forced into rotation duty after Sophie Cunningham's injury, and the picture gets even clearer. Every single Fever player is stretched way beyond her natural role. This isn't ideal basketball, it's full-on survival basketball. Yet somehow, Indiana absolutely refuses to fold. They've somehow stayed afloat in the playoff race by leaning on unlikely sparks, patched up lineups, and sheer undeniable toughness. That's exactly why fans keep circling one massive thought. What happens when Caitlin Clark finally returns? If this makeshift roster, filled with emergency signings and the walking wounded, can still scrap with playoff contenders, then a healthy backcourt completely rewrites the script. Right now, Indiana is clinging to the 8th seed, their postseason life hanging by the thinnest of thread. Every night feels like win-or-go-home intensity, but everyone knows the real game changer waiting in the wings, Caitlin Clark. And then, a sight for sore eyes. There she was in Minnesota, not cleared to suit up just yet, but finally back in practice gear, moving alongside her teammates. That simple image sent a literal jolt through the entire franchise. After weeks of standing on the sidelines, watching all the chaos unfold, seeing her back on the floor, even in limited reps, felt like a massive wave of hope breaking through. For a roster battered by injuries and fatigue, her mere presence was a powerful reminder that reinforcements are definitely coming, and momentum can still absolutely shift.
Team needs Caitlin Clark to come back in the worst way. Not only if they want to save this, if they want to even play in mid to late September. This isn't a playoff team, what we're watching right now. This isn't a playoff team. This is a Kelsey Mitchell, please save us team. Kelsey Mitchell, we need 40 and 10. 40 points, 10 assists from you every night to be in the playoffs. We need a Herculean effort in the second half. We need Lexie Hull catching fire late in the fourth quarter and in overtime for this team to continue to stay.
But
here's the cold, hard truth. The clock is definitely ticking. The Fever sit at 19 and 18, holding a fragile one-game edge over the Sparks, with only 7 games left to play. And let me tell you, Seattle, Golden State, Chicago, Los Angeles, none of them are easy wins. One cold week could absolutely crush their playoffs push, even before Clark officially returns. The margin is razor thin, and the math is unforgiving. Indiana doesn't have the luxury of patience anymore. Every single possession, every single whistle, every single quarter now carries the entire weight of their season.
We got our best indication yet that Caitlin Clark is on her way back toward a return for the Indiana Fever. That's because she was seen participating in shoot-around before the Minnesota Lynx game. Now, that doesn't mean she's playing. She's still out for that game, and she hasn't returned to full practice yet, but she is back on the court with her teammates. It's coming on the heels of Stephanie White saying she hopes that Clark would return to the lineup before the regular season is out, and that when you see her participating in practice, you will know she's on the way back.
Let's be honest, the gap without Caitlin Clark is absolutely impossible to ignore. Kelsey Mitchell can catch fire, Aaliyah Boston can hold her ground in the paint, but the offense without Clark, it sputters. Possessions break down, spacing collapses, and it just feels like Indiana is grinding through thick mud. Those hardship signings bring spark and hustle, sure, but hustle isn't orchestration. Clark brings order. She stretches defenses, opens up clean looks for Hull, makes Boston's interior battles winnable, and turns chaos into true rhythm. That's exactly why her return isn't just about adding talent, it's the difference between scraping by and actually threatening people. Fans know it, which is why every warm-up clip, every dribble in practice, every glance of her moving with teammates is treated like forensic evidence. Social media dissects it, frame by frame, equal parts anxious and hopeful. The buzz builds louder every single day because the reality is simple. Without her, that 8th seed could evaporate in a week. But with her back, the Fever instantly morph into a playoff wild card. Nobody, and I mean nobody, wants to draw in a one-game elimination.
So you see Caitlin Clark, this video captured by Chloe Peterson at shoot-around. You can see Caitlin doing some work right there, just, warm-up work. Back and forth on the court, but nonetheless on a basketball court. It's been a long time since we've seen Caitlin Clark on a basketball court. Certainly a long time since we've seen Caitlin Clark play basketball. Then there was a little bit more footage here, and you see Caitlin involved on the floor yet again, even handling the ball, working with her teammates. I mean, that's an important sign there to see her working with her team.
But here's the ultimate truth. Caitlin Clark's return isn't just about the box score. It's way bigger than points or assists. She elevates the entire roster. Her gravity completely reshapes defenses, turns Lexie Hull's cuts into absolute daggers, and makes Aaliyah Boston's positioning inside nearly unstoppable. That kind of impact simply can't be patched in with hardship signings. Only Clark provides it, which is why her comeback feels less like one player returning and more like a turning point for the entire league, period. But right now, Indiana is still juggling two brutal battles, injuries, and officiating. The physical toll has dragged them right to the edge, and the whistles, or the glaring lack thereof, have cut just as deep. You can see the frustration etched on their faces after every missed call. You can hear it in the anger from fans online. And nowhere was it more obvious than in Hull's fury after taking an elbow to the face, only to be whistled herself. So the looming question is this: when Clark steps back on the floor, will her brilliance be enough to overcome both the brutal injury grind and officiating that feels so incredibly slanted? The Fever's resilience is undeniable, but resilience alone doesn't secure playoff spots. It needs one thing is certain: if this team claws its way into the postseason, it won't just be a run. It'll go down as one of the toughest, grittiest pushes in WNBA history. Why do you think the refs keep turning a blind eye to Indiana? Drop your take in the comment. If you enjoyed this, hit that like button and subscribe, and more videos are on the screen right now.